Aloha, my name is Kai Hoshijo. I'm from New Valley on Oahu Island, and I'm actually a Kamehameha School's graduate, class of 2015, currently pursuing my master's degree in environmental management at UH Manoa, and I am a PVS crew member volunteer. I prepared myself for the voyage to Papahānaumokuākea, one by getting all of the equipment and clothes that I used for my previous sail like a month and a half before back into the bag. I made sure that I had everything set because I knew that we had a bigger task this time as a younger cohort. So what I did to prepare was I tried to get more ma'a with the canoe compass on Hogula'a. So whenever we were down at METC, just kind of walking and like touching the rail and looking around to really orient ourselves on the va'a, on the canoe compass. And then the second thing I did was I did do a lot of kilo near Makapu, just to look at the northern sky. Uncle Nainoa and Uncle Bruce and Lehua talked to us about using Hokupa'a, the North Star, which is what we did use. And so just looking at the northern sky and getting familiar with it and looking at how the different constellations would rise and set and the different pointers to Hokupa'a, just in case we would lose Hokupa'a, with weather and clouds while we were on our way to Nihoa. And then also, we were able to meet up, the 4 other navigators and I. We were able to kind of self-organize and get together and study because I think all of us are a little scared. We were all a little scared of this kind of daunting task of hey, you're gonna navigate to this island that you've never seen before. Here's your course line. And so for us to be able to get together as, crewmates, comrades, friends, and just learn and commit to learning together in those really quality amounts of time, I think that was for me the most valuable preparation I could have had for Papahānaumokuākea. The voyage to Papahānaumokuākea was quite amazing. I've never actually seen Kauai Island and Ni'ihau and Kumukahi Channel like that when you're out, off the coast. I've only gone on vacation, and so just to see these wonderful moku that are really super close, but we don't get to see it like that. I mean, we don't get to see the weather systems kind of come in and out of the channels as such. So in the beginning, that was just really beautiful. You're kind of in awe of Hawaii. And then the work really started. We had to really buckle down and make sure that we had our systems in place to be able to navigate to Nihoa. And we ended up doing this kind of system where you had one person sighting Hokupa'a, you had one person going up and down the va'a to look for other celestial bodies that we could rely on if we lost that mark, and then you had one person steering. And so it was really kind of cool. We created this system without anyone telling us to do so. It was just something that happened, and we were just continually switching off. When we sighted the island in the morning, I think that was just one of the moments that I will remember for the rest of my life. Just celebrating with everyone and being so happy, that we sighted one of our kupuna islands. And then continuing on throughout past Nihoa to Mokumanamana and to Lalo, really just in awe of our ancestors, looking at all the upright stones and markers that they had to kilo with, and trying to understand why they would voyage here, understanding that we are also voyaging there in our present day time. So it kind of felt like we were going back home in a sense, going back to where our ancestors once dwelled and lived and went to for their purposes. But yet, we are far from home, but we're also home. And when we were able to get to Lalo, we had a special crew member on board, Randy Kosaki, who is a researcher and diver with NOAA. And he was really our lead navigator in Lalo. He was able to take us to various places, not only to do parts of his research for NOAA, just his observations of different species, but to get under the water. And I think that was another element of that voyage that was really important to understand nature, was to get under the water, that we're sailing across and that we're sailing to, and to really give us a greater appreciation for the ocean that connects us all. For me, I was so excited because these fish, you know, their behaviors were a lot different than the fish that you see in Oahu or anywhere in the main 8 Hawaiian Islands. And these fish would just come right up to you, ginormous fish that I've never ever seen before, that size. And so comfortable around humans because they don't have people constantly, or they don't have human predators over there. But it's just really interesting to watch fish behaviors and think back to home and try to not necessarily compare, but maybe understand why these ecosystems and these different species behave as such in those areas compared to the main 8 Hawaiian Islands. So I think there's definitely like an appreciation for place, appreciation for our kupuna, an appreciation for nature for sure, and it all kind of integrated in this voyage. My big takeaway from Papahānaumokuākea is really learning how to work together. Some of the main highlights, of course, were like the nature side and being able to get underneath the surface. But for the 4 other navigators and I, to be able to come together and be able to work together under circumstances that we weren't necessarily familiar with, and we really had to trust each other to be able to do that, because you know, you can always give in to fear that you don't know where we're going, or you know, we're off course, things like that. But we're able to check in on each other and make sure that that wasn't like a living element in our system. And that's probably why we were able to be so accurate at that time. And so for me, I think that's the biggest takeaway, was coming together, working together, putting differences, similarities, anything aside in order to get Hokula'a Tunihoa.